Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Amritpal Singh. Coming up in the next next 1 hour, preliminary investigation into the June 12 Air India crash reveals both the engines shut down after fuel supply to them were cut off within seconds of takeoff. Trump intensifies trade war, imposes 30% tariffs on the European Union and Mexico beginning the 1st of August. EU chief slams Trump's tariff threat, says ready to keep working on deal. Iran says it's reviewing details of a possible resumption of talks with the United States amid nuclear tensions. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses the employment fair held at 47 locations across India. Appointment letters distributed to over 51,000 youth. A month after the Air India Flight 171 crashed, just moments after takeoff from Ahmedabad, India's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau has released their preliminary report. DD India's Abhishek Bose brings us more in our report.
It was June 12, 2025. Air India Flight 171, a Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner bound for London Gatwick, took off from Ahmedabad Airport at 1:38 p.m. But what happened a few moments later shocked the world. Only 32 seconds after takeoff, flight AI-171 crashed. The aircraft went down on the hostel grounds of BJ Medical College, located near the outskirts of the airport. The accident resulted in the deaths of 241 people on board and 19 on the ground, making it one of India's deadliest aviation disasters in recent history. Now, 1 month later, India's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, AAIB, has released its 15-page preliminary report. The AAIB in its report said that the fuel control switches for both engines moved from the run to cutoff position within 1 second of each other. This action cut off fuel supply to both engines almost instantly. The cockpit voice recorder captured one pilot asking the other, "Why did he cut off?" To which the other pilot replies that he didn't. However, the recording doesn't clearly indicate which pilot made each statement. The pilots attempted to restore fuel flow by moving the switches back to run, and one engine briefly showed signs of recovery, but it was too late to regain sufficient thrust and altitude. The ram air turbine, an emergency backup for essential systems, deployed automatically, confirming the loss of primary power. India's Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu emphasized that this report is only preliminary. He urged the public not to speculate until the final findings are released.
This is a preliminary report right now, and from the ministry we are analyzing the report, but I think it would be better if we can comment on it once the final report comes in. I don't think we should jump into any conclusions on this. I truly believe we have the most wonderful workforce in terms of pilots and the crew in the whole world. I have to appreciate all the efforts the pilots and the crew in this country are putting into the aviation. They are the backbone of this civil aviation.
Now, after this initial report, key questions remain. How did both engine switches move to cutoff when both pilots claimed they did not do it? And why did the second engine not respond to the reintroduction of fuel in the same way as the first? The investigation continues to seek answers to these pivotal questions. Abhishek Bose for DD India.
Last year, India actively engaged on the world stage, showcasing a pragmatic foreign policy that significantly boosted its international standing. The Ministry of External Affairs steered these efforts, advancing national interests by strengthening ties with partners, pushing for reforms in global bodies, and championing the cause of the Global South. Despite ongoing global economic shifts and geopolitical tensions, India remained a proactive voice in major international discussions.
A key focus was India's continued leadership in the G20. Building on its previous presidency, India collaborated with Brazil and South Africa in the Troika. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's contribution at the G20 summit in Rio de Janeiro were widely praised for their human-centric approach. A notable outcome was the African Union's first participation as a permanent G20 member, which was a direct result of India's efforts in 2023. India also hosted the third Voice of the Global South Summit, where Prime Minister Modi proposed a global development compact to foster sustainable development across the region. Beyond multilateral forums, India deepened its bilateral relationships through numerous Foreign Office consultations with 35 countries, reinforcing diplomatic ties globally. Closer to home, India reaffirmed its neighborhood first policy, where leaders from several neighboring countries attended Prime Minister Narendra Modi's swearing in ceremony in June, highlighting strong regional bonds. India's commitment to humanitarian aid also continued, particularly in Afghanistan, where it provided crucial supplies and scholarships, including for women working with UN bodies. This comprehensive engagement, from high level summits to direct aid and bilateral dialogues, underscored India's dynamic role in shaping a more equitable and stable global environment throughout 2024. Bureau Report, DD India.
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi today distributed over 51,000 appointment letters during the 16th Rozgar Mela held across 47 locations nationwide. With over 1,000 recruitments so far, the Rozgar Melas reflect the government's strong push for employment generation and youth empowerment.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi virtually distributed over 51,000 appointment letters on Saturday during the 16th edition of Rozgar Mela held across 47 locations nationwide. Congratulating the new recruits, PM Modi stressed the shared mission of nation building under the principle of citizen first. He highlighted India's rising global ranking in equality and the transformative employment landscape.
आज वर्ल्ड बैंक जैसी बड़ी वैश्विक संस्थाएं खुल करके इस काम के लिए भारत की प्रशंसा कर रही है, दुनिया को भारत को मॉडल के रूप में प्रस्तुत करती है। भारत को दुनिया के सबसे अधिक इक्वालिटी वाले शीर्ष के देशों में रखा जा रहा है, यानी असमानता तेजी से कम हो रही है, हम समानता की ओर आगे बढ़ रहे हैं।
Prime Minister emphasized the growing role of innovation, startups, and research, underscoring India's expanding ecosystem that empowers youth to dream big and contribute meaningfully. PM said Rozgar Melas reflect the government's commitment to empowering youth and positioning them as key drivers in building a developed India.
आज दुनिया मान रही है कि भारत के पास दो असीमित शक्तियां हैं, एक डेमोग्राफी, दूसरी डेमोक्रेसी, यानी सबसे बड़ी युवा आबादी और सबसे बड़ा लोकतंत्र। युवाओं का यह सामर्थ्य हमारी भारत के उज्जवल भविष्य की सबसे बड़ी पूंजी भी है और सबसे बड़ी गारंटी भी है।
Highlighting the success of Make in India, PM Modi noted its crucial role in generating jobs and propelling India towards becoming the third largest economy. He also spoke of India's rise as a global leader in defense manufacturing.
डिफेंस मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में भी भारत नए रिकॉर्ड्स बना रहा है। हमारा डिफेंस प्रोडक्शन 1.25 करोड़ रुपए से ऊपर पहुंच चुका है। भारत ने एक और बड़ी उपलब्धि लोकोमोटिव सेक्टर में हासिल किए हैं। पुराने जमाने में जिसको रेल का इंजन कहा करते थे हम लोग। भारत दुनिया में सबसे ज्यादा लोकोमोटिव बनाने वाला देश बन गया है, दुनिया में सबसे ज्यादा।
So far, over 100,000 recruitment letters have been issued through Rozgar Melas, marking a significant step in fulfilling the Prime Minister's priority of employment generation and youth empowerment. Ravindra Chauhan's report for DD India.
All right. U.S. President Donald Trump announced on Saturday that Mexico and the European Union will face a 30% tariff beginning next month. The move escalates his administration's ongoing trade disputes. In his letters posted on Truth's social platform, Trump cited the need to address perceived trade deficits with EU and to pressure Mexico into curbing the flow of fentanyl into the United States as reasons for the new tariffs. Following Trump's announcement, the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said that EU is prepared to take necessary steps to safeguard its interests if the US proceeds with imposing the said tariff on European goods. The EU had been seeking a comprehensive trade agreement with the US for its 27 member countries. It was an emotional day at the U.S. State Department as over 1,300 employees were laid off under Donald Trump's sweeping federal downsizing plan. Tears, applause and cardboard boxes marked the farewell of those who once served at the heart of American diplomacy. Critics warned that the cuts following a Supreme Court nod could weaken U.S. global leadership amid mounting international crisis. My colleague Rabendra Chauhan brings us more.
Tears welled in their eyes, cardboard boxes clutched tightly in their arms. A handful of the 1,300 State Department employees quietly stepped out of the building they once proudly served. As part of President Donald Trump's sweeping campaign to downsize the federal workforce, these men and women left not just an office, but a lifetime of dedication behind. The U.S. State Department began laying off over 1,350 U.S.-based employees on Friday as part of a major restructuring under President Donald Trump's America First agenda. The cuts include 1,107 civil service and 246 foreign service officers, with total reductions expected to reach nearly 3,000.
This is devastating. This is also self-sabotage, pulling people back from the front lines when we really need them the most. Now that we have the tensions in the Middle East, ascendant China, and aggressive Russia, what are we doing pulling back the people who know how to deal with these tensions in the world?
At the State Department headquarters in Washington, laid-off employees processed their exits during an emotional farewell as colleagues gathered to applaud and show support.
Today I received the notification at 10:54 that my position at my office, the Office of Countering Violent Extremism, was going to be eliminated as a result of the Trump administration's reorganization plan. The patriotic men and women of the State Department have provided their nonpartisan expertise to every administration since 1789. The oath of office we have taken to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, is a sacred pledge which we dutifully honor.
Officials say the move targets non-core and redundant functions to streamline operations, but critics warn it could undermine U.S. diplomacy, especially amid the ongoing wars in Ukraine and Gaza and rising tensions in West Asia. Democratic Senators Tim Kaine and Chris Van Hollen condemned the layoffs, calling them reckless and dangerous. The restructuring also involves closure of human rights and war crimes offices and the dismantling of USAID, America's global aid agency.
We need to do everything we can to stop what's happening right now. That has to happen in the courts, it has to happen in the Congress, but most of all, this is what gives me great hope, it has to happen in communities all over the country. And people are standing up like you are right now.
The layoffs were enabled after the US Supreme Court lifted a legal block on the Trump administration's downsizing plan earlier this week. As the overhaul continues, concerns grow over its potential impact on America's ability to lead in a complex and volatile global landscape. Ravindra Chauhan's report for DD India.
And still to come up on DD India NewsHour, more than 20 civilians killed in the Myanmar airstrike on a monastery. Russia intensifies strikes as Ukraine awaits US missiles through NATO.
This week, we meet people who are showing us that real change and action does not really have to be perfect or loud. It just has to begin somewhere.
What looks like a mere damp swamp is actually a mud flat. But this is the basis of the coastal food system. It provides food for several bird species and other life forms.
As the saying goes, we serve society for our own well-being and to better our community. Seeing improvements in our area brings us satisfaction.
The approach generally adopted by India towards Antarctica is that of the common heritage of mankind, humankind, as one would say right now.
Trees are our lifesavers. They give us oxygen, and it's unfair to harm them by hammering iron nails into them just for the sake of ads.
You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Amritpal Singh. Iran on Saturday said that it was reviewing the details of a possible resumption of talks with the United States on its nuclear program. Tehran and Washington had been engaged in talks since April, but those efforts were disrupted when U.S. ally Israel launched a surprise attack on Iran's nuclear facilities on the 13th of June, just 2 days before a planned meeting in Oman. Meanwhile, Iran has planned to cooperate with the UN nuclear watchdog despite restrictions imposed by its parliament. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said on Saturday, but stressed that access to its bombed nuclear sites posed security and safety issues. The new law stipulates that any future inspection of Iran's nuclear sites by the IAEA or the International Atomic Energy Agency needs approval by the Supreme National Security Council, that's Iran's top security body. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov thanked North Korea for its support during a visit to the country. This comes as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky announced that US will resume weapons supply to Ukraine. More in this report.
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has termed Moscow-Pyongyang ties invincible as he met North Korean leader Kim Jong-un during a visit to North Korea. Earlier, in a meeting with his North Korean counterpart Cho Sun-hui, Lavrov thanked the country for what he called a very important contribution to the just cause of liberating Russian territories. Pyongyang has sent thousands of troops to Russia's Kursk region to oust Ukrainian forces.
We are sincerely grateful to the leadership of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, all military personnel, soldiers and officers who demonstrated excellent combat training and made a very important contribution to the just cause of liberating Russian territories.
At least 4 people were killed as Russia fired more than 620 drones and long-range missiles at Ukraine. The Ukrainian Air Force said that it downed over 300 drones and 25 missiles. The Russian Defense Ministry said that it targeted companies in Ukraine's military-industrial complex. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that the US will resume military supplies to Ukraine. Washington's announcement earlier this month that it would pause some armament deliveries to Ukraine was a blow to Kyiv, which is reliant on Western military support. Meanwhile, Slovakia is aiming to reach an agreement with the European Commission and EU partners on guarantees it will not suffer from the end of Russian gas supplies and on a new sanctions package against Moscow. Bureau Report, DD India.
At least 20 civilians have been killed in an airstrike at a monastery in conflict-ridden Myanmar. Details in this report.
In Myanmar, a terrible tragedy has unfolded. Over 20 civilians, including children, killed in an airstrike on a monastery in the Sagaing region. According to a pro-democracy group, the strike targeted a hall where nearly 200 internally displaced people were staying. Days after a devastating 7.7 magnitude earthquake shook Sagaing on 28 March, the government announced a temporary ceasefire to provide humanitarian aid and help rebuild the region after similar moves from armed anti-junta groups. However, the military has continued to launch airstrikes and artillery attacks on rebel-held areas, including those already destroyed by the quake. In another development, more than 500 civilians and soldiers fled Myanmar and crossed into Thailand after an attack by ethnic fighters on a military base, the Thai army said. According to the United Nations, 81,000 refugees or asylum seekers from Myanmar are currently living in Thailand. Myanmar has been gripped by conflict between the junta and pro-democracy groups since the military staged a coup and imprisoned Nobel laureate Aung San Suu Kyi. Bureau Report, DD India.
Indian conglomerate DS Group has officially launched its popular Cat Spices brand in Kathmandu, marking its entry into the Nepalese spice market. The launch event celebrated Nepal's rich culinary traditions, including the Newari and Thupka, which are known for their use of spices. The event was attended by winners of cooking contest and featured a live cooking demo by internationally acclaimed Nepali chef Santosha, who also announced that these spices are launched. In a major recognition of prehistoric heritage, UNESCO has added megaliths of Karnak and banks of Morbihan in western France to its prestigious World Heritage List. Believed to be over 7,000 years old, these megalith structures are among the oldest and most extensive prehistoric monuments in Europe. Unusually dry weather and soaring temperatures across France are causing water levels in the Loire River to fall dramatically, with sandbags now emerging due to prolonged heat waves. The continued lack of rainfall in June and July has severely reduced the river's flow, sparking concerns about the environmental impact and potential disruptions. In northern Belgium's nature reserve, a unique cycling experience is drawing crowds this summer. The popular attraction called Cycling Through Water features a 200-meter-long bike path that cuts between two serene ponds. Constructed in 2016, the unusual design attracts hundreds of cyclists and walkers daily. The World Health Organization on Saturday has placed Saima Wazid, the daughter of former Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, on indefinite leave from her role as Regional Director of the WHO South East Asia Regional Office based in New Delhi. The move comes 4 months after the Bangladesh Anti-Corruption Commission filed 2 cases against her alleging fraud, forgery and misuse of power. WHO informed that responsibilities would now be handled by Dr. Katerina Boheme, WHO Assistant Director General, who will serve as officer in charge. The Maratha military landscapes of India have been added to the UNESCO World Heritage List, becoming India's 44th property to receive the global recognition. The historic decision was taken during the 47th session of the World Heritage Committee in Paris on Friday. This global accolade celebrates India's enduring cultural legacy, showcasing its diverse traditions of architectural brilliance, regional identity, and historical continuity. Located across a range of diverse terrains, from coastal outposts to hilltop strongholds, this extraordinary network of 12 forts reflect a sophisticated understanding of geography and strategic defense planning. Together, they form a cohesive military landscape that highlights the innovation and regional adaptation of fortification traditions in India. India ranks 6th globally and 2nd in the Asia-Pacific region for the most number of World Heritage Sites. Prime Minister, the Culture Minister, along with the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, lauded the historic milestone and congratulated the people of India for this achievement. Taking to social media X, Prime Minister Modi said, and I quote, "Every Indian is elated with this recognition. These Maratha military landscapes include 12 majestic forts, 11 of which are in Maharashtra and 1 is in Tamil Nadu. When we speak of the glorious Maratha Empire, we associate it with good governance, military strength, cultural pride, and emphasis on social welfare. The great rulers inspire us with their refusal to bow to any injustice. I call upon everyone to go and visit these forts and learn about the rich history of the Maratha Empire." Unquote. India's Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar attended the 4th convocation ceremony of the Indian Institute of Information Technology, Kota, on Saturday. He was felicitated by the Governor of Rajasthan, Haribhau Bagade, the state ministers, along with other dignitaries. Addressing the event, VP Dhankar said that education is the most impactful and transformative mechanism to bring about equality and strengthen democratic values. The Vice President also planted saplings at IIT Kota.
Education is the most impactful, transformative mechanism to bring about equality, to cut into inequities, and to give cutting edge to democratic values. IIT Kota is helping forge the foundation of digital India, now a global need. It is not merely imparting technical knowledge, it is much beyond. It is shaping the contours of a new, confident and technologically sovereign India.
India's Home Minister Amit Shah inaugurated the newly built BJP Kerala unit's headquarters in Thiruvananthapuram on Saturday. At the inauguration, Amit Shah planted a sapling in front of the office building and also unveiled the sculpture of BJP former state president, late KG Marad. The state-of-art office is a 7-story, 60,000 square foot building. Addressing the gathering at Viksit Keralam Sammelan, the Home Minister said that without the development of southern states, a developed India is simply not possible. Still to come up on DD India News Hour, a discussion with a special guest in the studio on implications of the preliminary investigation report in the Air India plane crash.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Amritpal Singh. Before we proceed further, let's take a look at the headlines we are tracking at this hour. Preliminary investigation into the June 12 Air India crash reveals that both engines shut down after fuel supply to them were cut off within seconds of takeoff. Donald Trump intensifies the trade war, imposes 30% tariffs on the European Union and Mexico beginning next month. EU chief slams Trump's tariff threat, says ready to keep working on the deal. Iran says it's reviewing the details of a possible resumption of talks with the United States amid nuclear tensions. And to talk about the report that came in this morning, the preliminary investigation report of the findings on the Air India plane crash on the 12th of June. I'm joined on the show by Jitendra Bhargav. He is a civil aviation expert. But full disclosure first, that Jitendra Bhargav is a former executive director of Air India. So there is this Air India crash. I expect, Mr. Bhargav, you speak as a civil aviation expert and not have a bias towards your former organization. I'm sure you wouldn't. Thank you very much for being on the show. Sir, the report tells us what happened, really. You know, how the fuel supplies were cut because that fuel switch is conked off. But it also has led to a lot of questions and a very heated debate. Was it human error or was it actually malfunction of a technical malfunction on the part of the plane? Hasn't it?
You know, let me put the facts the way they are.
Okay.
The preliminary report is basically can be summed up or divided into three categories. One, it gives out the sequence of events as it happened on that particular day. Okay. Then it basically dismisses the kind of speculation that people had made post the accident, that probably the flaps, the landing gear, the other issues, that weather conditions, the bird head, or all those kind of things, they've dismissed it in very clear words. And then comes the basic issue that it says, look, this is a preliminary report. Let's not draw any inferences. Detailed analysis will be conducted, and then there will be real logic given as to what happened and what caused the accident. It even goes to the extent of stating that at this stage, they are not making any recommendation to Boeing or to the engine manufacturer. Having said this, now let's look at what the report says. It says very categorically that the aircraft had a problem. It took off there was full speed, there was full thrust on it, but within seconds of takeoff, the fuel control switch transitioned from the cutoff to run stage, which means that the engines were not getting the fuel and there was no power being directed. Pilots on their part tried to activate RAT, which is the RAM air turbine.
Can I stop you here? Can I stop you here, Mr. Bhargava?
Yeah.
So, how does the report shed light on how much time after the takeoff did these fuel switches go to cut off, which means basically they conked off?
As soon as it take off, it had reached an altitude of 290 feet and it switched off. And there was a gap of 1 second between the left engine and the right engine being switched off.
Okay.
So when they activated the RAD, which is the RAM air turbine for hydraulic power, it could not relight the engines. It was too short a time for them to do anything. Now, when people speculate as to what happened, was it human error? I look at from the perspective, because the preliminary report makes a clear mention of it, that they found the voice recorder, the black box as we call it, one at the back, the other in the front, and the front one has more power, and that is why it continued even after the power in the aircraft had gone off, and the black box at the back could not be recorded. So they recorded a key conversation that throws light on it. When the power was cut off, or the
fuel switch is conked off, yeah.
Switch moved from transition from the cutoff to run stage. One pilot asked the other, "Did you do it?" He said, "No, I have not done it." And that's a recorded conversation between the two pilots.
Yeah, he exactly says, the exact conversation that the report puts out is, he says, one pilot tells the other, why did you switch them off? And he says, no, I didn't. Yes.
That's right. So clearly indicating that it wasn't the pilot who did this. So the human error there is ruled out. So we have to look at it, and that is where the detailed investigation as the investigators, which has representatives of not just the India's regulatory body, the Accident Board of India, but also representatives from FAA, engine manufacturer, Boeing company, besides British government representative, Portuguese and Canadian government representative. It's quite a bit of expertise is available. So now that you have the preliminary report before you, they will conduct detailed analysis. So I am pretty certain, not because I'm a former Air Indian, as you alluded to in the beginning, I am going to be objective on it. It is very clearly stated, the report says, that the fuel control switch had been changed on this aircraft in the year 2019 and 2023, but not because it had transitioned automatically on a flight. It was a routine kind of a change. Then comes the Federal Aviation Administration, had issued a diktat, not a diktat, I would say a message to all the aircraft users of Boeing 737 aircraft, that the fuel control switch needs to be looked at for the disengagement when you're looking at, because there must have been some problems.
Oh, the FAA's advisory was for 737, but the Dreamliner is a 787, right?
No, it is 787, but when you look at it, the mechanism is the same.
Okay.
So what Air India has responded in this, on this issue is that it was an advisory issue, it wasn't a mandatory issue. We keep talking about it, that airline industry has a global character. It is not that every airline decides its own curriculum of what kind of checks they will be conducting. Boeing as an aircraft manufacturer, Airbus also as an aircraft manufacturer, engine manufacturers lay down the curriculum strictly that these are the checks you have to be performed by an airline when they're using the aircraft. So all these parts have been checked by the AME before the flight took off from Ahmedabad, and then we all know what happened 36 seconds later.
So what does the FAA report of 2018 say? Does it say that the switch, the fuel switches have an issue?
Yes, there was an issue of disengagement.
Okay.
So they laid out a kind of procedure that this is what they need to do.
Okay.
You know, in aviation industry, what happens, say for example, once the final report on the AI 171 comes out, and there is some kind of conclusion on what really caused the accident, there will be a learning lesson. In fact, the preliminary report states in the beginning that don't draw any inferences, but reports are basically intended to avoid future accidents.
True, very true. So the FAA report you are saying, which is basically an American aviation, body, which it says that there is an issue with the fuel switches, and it recommends that the airlines change it, right?
Airlines, yes, as an advisory, keep an eye on it.
Keep an eye on it and change it. Does it say change
That's right.
it?
As and when if you encounter problem, change it. Naturally, any airline
So
will do that.
did Air India comply with that? Did it change the fuel switches?
Look, as I said earlier, Air India has communicated to the investigators that this was an advisory issued by the Federal Aviation Administration of the United States, and it was not a mandatory check to be performed for each flight. But in the year 2019 and in the year 2023, the fuel control switches on this particular aircraft were changed, but not because there was a problem that we encountered on this flight.
Okay. So they were generally as a part of routine maintenance.
That's right.
They were changed. Okay. We're not, we're not alluding anything here that let the full report come out. But, personally, I think the human error angle becomes the possibility of it becomes very less, because these switches don't just trip or you don't hit a hand accidentally. When the plane is taking off, it needs thrust. Unless a pilot wants a plane to go down, why would he, go and actually shut not one but two, and within a second of each other? So it obviously looks more likely that there is a technical issue in that fuel switch box or whatever that equipment is, where it trips by or whatever goes to the cutoff mode by itself. What is your opinion, having that you are studied these issues more closely than any of us?
No, just two observations. One, it is not a control switch which can accidentally be transitioned from one mode to the other. It does not happen. There is action, proper action required from the pilots if you need to do that.
Okay.
The very categorical on this issue. And the second issue that one must look at is, if an inference had to be drawn or a statement of the kind you just made has to be made, I think the investigators would have included such a kind of categorical statement in the preliminary report. The very fact that they haven't done, and caution readers of the investigation report that don't draw any inferences till a full detailed analysis has been conducted, investigated, let's wait for it.
Okay. You're saying you wouldn't want to guess either way. You will go by what the report is saying, that this is what happened. We don't really know as of now. It requires more investigation. Why? What happened? They've just stated what happened.
Absolutely. You see, we must try and give credit to the people who conducted this investigation. There are people from various countries, various organizations with a lot of expertise. So they have gone and come to some kind of conclusions and put them in the preliminary report. And if the report itself says that it requires further evidences, further investigations, I think we should leave it at that and await the submission of the final report by the investigating team.
Okay. Who are part of this AAIB, investigation team? I have some names, but is NTSB or the FAA, which are basically Americans, and also some English, the AAB UK, were they also part of the investigation?
The main players is India's Accident Investigation Board, followed by DGCA, Boeing Company, engine manufacturer, which is General Electric in this case, then the NTSB of America, FAA representatives. They've named these people, accredited people with adequate experience to be part of the investigation team. And because among the casualties were British citizens, Portuguese and Canadian, their representatives are also there as part of the investigation team. So it's going to be a very objective, transparent investigation, and nobody should speculate or doubt its credibility.
There is speculation going on that, Boeing, being such a big company, might want to influence the investigation because it directly has, commercial fallouts or implications for their company. And if they are part of the investigation, could you tell us how it works so that, this speculation, is there any merit in this speculation? And if not, it can be put to rest.
No, we should put to rest because one individual, Boeing Company's representative, in an investigating team which has multiple people representing different companies, organizations, countries, I didn't think anybody will succumb to any kind of pressure that the American government or Boeing may mount on the investigating team. And let's forget, I would only add to it in conclusion that please do not forget that India is no longer what it was 30 years ago when it could have been made to succumb by a foreign power to toe a certain line. India will certainly not do so.
Mr. Bhargava, have 737 Maxes crashed in the past multiple times, and any of those crashes have been directly linked to this fuel switch failures?
No, it was a totally different reason for it.
Okay.
Let's not get on, and I am of a very firm opinion that let's not go by what is said, speculated, whistleblower statements or any kind of a thing. We should in reality look at the track record of the Dreamliner aircraft globally. 25% of all long-haul flights are operated with Dreamliner aircraft. There are 1,190 aircraft flying with multiple airlines.
Okay.
975 million passengers have flown in the last 13 years on 5 million flights. And this was the first accident in Ahmedabad which involved a Dreamliner aircraft. So I will give credence to the track record, safety track record of Dreamliner rather than one individual.
No. My question wasn't about the Dreamliner. Mine was on 737 MAX.
No, it had nothing to do with it. It was
with the fuel
kind
switches.
of thing. They had a
All
version
right.
created out of 737 with some flaws in it, which they have now corrected. And two of the Indian carriers, SpiceJet and Akasa Airlines, are using those aircraft.
Jitendra Bhargava, we leave it at that. That's the same thing to do, to wait for the report to come out with its investigations. Actually, that why, what happened, what went wrong. We know what went wrong, why it went wrong. Let's wait for that report to come out. Many thanks for being on the show and sharing your insights with us. Thank you, sir. Moving on to weather report from India. Monsoon has tightened its grip across India. Parts of Delhi and adjoining NCR received heavy rainfall on Saturday, bringing relief from soaring temperatures. Earlier today, the Indian Met Department predicted light to moderate rainfall in parts of the National Capital Region, including Faridabad, Greater Noida, Ghaziabad, as well as several areas across South, Central and East Delhi. Let's now take a look at other stories making news. Chief Justice of India B.R. Gawai on Saturday addressed the 22nd annual convocation of the NALSAR University of Law in Hyderabad, highlighting concerns within the Indian legal system. He urged the next generation of legal professionals to play a proactive role in reforming the system to ensure greater efficiency. In a significant blow to left-wing extremism, 23 Maoists, including 9 women, surrendered before the police in Sukma district of Chhattisgarh. Each individual will receive 50,000 rupees in immediate assistance along with other benefits under the state's Maoist rehabilitation policy. A major fire broke out in a shop in Sadar Bazaar, Delhi on Saturday afternoon, prompting a swift response from the fire services. The fire was on the first floor and the alert level was raised due to the dense market area with numerous adjacent shops. And still to come up on DD India News Hour, over 140 Sri Lankan children saved by cross-border medical mission. Alcaraz and Sinner set for a Wimbledon clash as rivalry shapes new era. Stars shared last 6 Grand Slams.
Can the US launch a bombing campaign against Iran? The Philippines vessel suffered structural damage. The saga of child sexual abuse is the United States China's debt trap strategy. Truth is stranger than fiction. But sometimes hard to uncover. Trust us to tell the truth, unadulterated and pure, of every story that matters to you. You read between the lines, cut the clutter, and connect the dots to get you the full picture. Watch Connecting the Dots at these times with me, only on DD.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Amritpal Singh. Over 140 Sri Lankan children have been given a second chance at life thanks to an extraordinary cross-border medical initiative. The Save a Kid's Life project by Rotary Club Colombo West is now aiming even higher. Prasar Bharati special correspondent in Colombo, Ahmed Moin Faruqi, brings us this report.
In Sri Lanka, 6 to 8 out of every 1,000 newborns, or about 3,000 children every year, are born with congenital heart diseases. Unfortunately, the facilities in the island nation can cater to only about 700 children annually. Through a noble cross-border initiative, over 140 Sri Lankan children have been saved till date. The Rotary Club Colombo West marked 7 years of its journey on this cross-border mission at Sri Lanka Foundation Institute in Colombo today.
Till now, we have saved around 140 children by doing heart surgeries in India through global grant.
The DREAM project with Amrita Hospital Kochi willingly partnered with 2 Rotary clubs to perform this near Maratha.
The Save a Kid's Life program identifies children with complex congenital heart defects, many of whom cannot be treated within Sri Lanka, and flies them to India for life-saving surgeries. These operations take place at the Mata Amritanandamayi Hospital in Kochi, with all expenses from surgery to travel and stay covered by the program. The initiative now targets 50 surgeries this year alone, doubling its previous annual output. The initiative is also backed by the High Commission of India in Colombo, which provides visa on gratis basis to the children and families. The program also builds local capacity, training Sri Lankan nurses in pediatric cardiac care to eventually bring expertise back home.
This has been the first project of Rotary which has done with a capacitance building or a training angle. It made sure that the Rotary project doesn't finish on the day we finish the last surgery, it has a long impact.
For many families from remote and underprivileged areas in Sri Lanka, this help means the difference between despair and survival. With more than 2,300 children still waiting, the project's mission is far from over. But each child saved is a step closer to a healthier, much hopeful future. For DD India, Ahmed Moin Faruqi from Colombo.
You're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for some sports news. The tennis world is set for another blockbuster showdown. Just 35 days after that unforgettable French Open, Carlos Alcaraz and Yannick Sinner are ready to renew their rivalry, this time on the hallowed lawns of Wimbledon. Their rivalry is defining this new era. They have shared the last 6 Grand Slams, and Alcaraz leads head-to-head 8-4. A report by DD India correspondent Narayan Singh.
Last time Carlos Alcaraz and Yannick Sinner met in a Grand Slam final, the tennis world witnessed one of the greatest matches in the recent memory. A 5.5-hour marathon match in the French Open final that had everything: drama, intensity, and history. Just 35 days later, they are back at again. This time it's the Wimbledon Final 2025. And the stakes couldn't be higher. World number 1 Yannick Sinner comes into the final in top form. He hadn't dropped a set all tournament and cruised past Novak Djokovic in the semi-finals, ending 24-time Grand Slam champions' hopes for yet another title. And on the other side is defending champion Carlos Alcaraz, who had to dig deep throughout the fortnight, from a 5-set scare in the first round to powering past Taylor Fritz in the semis of the Wimbledon. Spaniard is looking hungry to lift his 4th major title. But let's rewind for a moment. In that unforgettable Roland Garros final, Sinner was 2 sets up. He had 3 championship points, but Alcaraz, he refused to go away. The 22-year-old mounted a stunning comeback to snatch the title, showing the world why he is called the successor of the Big Three. The rivalry is quickly becoming the centerpiece of the new era in the men's tennis. Alcaraz and Sinner have won the last 6 Grand Slams between them. That's how dominant these two have become. As for head-to-head records, Alcaraz leads 8-4, including 5 straight wins over Sinner, the most recent being that dramatic win in Paris. But here is a twist. The only time they have played on grass was right here at Wimbledon in 2022, and Sinner won that match. So, can the Italian flip the script again on the center court? Or will Alcaraz extend his streak and defend his crown? One thing is for sure, this rivalry is just getting started, with both players still in their early 20s. Expect many more slams finals between them.
Doordarshan is organizing a tech contest called DD Robocon 2025. Best engineering minds will battle it out here in the high-tech test like no other. DD Robocon 2025, powered by IIT Delhi, brings innovation, strategy and robotics to the center stage. And this year, the theme is robot basketball. Here's a report.
The future of Indian engineering is taking shape at IIT Delhi, as 40 teams from across the country arrive for the two-day DD Robocon 2025. More than 800 students are participating in a thrilling robotic face-off, all built around one electrifying theme, basketball, played not by humans, but machines. Teams are tasked with designing and building robots that can dribble, shoot, and outplay their opponents in a fast match-paced format. It's a test of precision, coding, teamwork, and cool-headed strategy.
This year Robocon 2025, it is on basketball playing robots. And there are 40 teams here, and they make all the robots to play the basketball, as you can see in the background. And when they make the robots, so all engineering, mechanical, electrical, computer science, etc., all students from various streams come and they make the robot. So whatever they're learning in the classrooms, so they are able to apply in this.
DD Robocon, organized annually in collaboration with Prasar Bharati, isn't just a competition, it's a gateway to global glory. The winning team will represent India at ABU Robocon 2025 in Mongolia this August.
In this season, we implement new things in our robot, and especially in the field of mechanical, electronics, electrical, CS and IT. It gives a vast knowledge for this competition in the engineering field. Robocon gives us a very huge impact in our career and basically developed a skill where we boost our knowledge in a industrial very easily.
It was a very nice event. There were 40 teams from all over the Indias, like children, students who are just starting their career, want to make their career in a robotics field. Then this event helps a lot.
Beyond the court, it's also a space for learning and growth. The platform helps students develop real-world skills from robotics and electronics to teamwork and time management, preparing them for careers in cutting-edge industries.
The DD Robocon is a celebration of engineering imagination. This event not only showcases the technological talent of India, but also gives us a sneak peek of the innovation of tomorrow. With cameraman Sumit Dhiman, this is Meher Raj Singh for DD India, Delhi.
That's it in this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. The app is available both in Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR codes that you see on your screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Amritpal Singh from my entire team here in Delhi, especially Sagnik Chakraborty, who's my colleague in the newsroom. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.